Alrighty, hello and welcome to the video. So, for those of you who don't know, which I'm assuming is probably everyone, I recently made my first ever short film. So I thought it could be fun if I walk through some of the things I found to be interesting, some things I learnt, some things I think I did well, and things that I definitely want to incorporate when making my next short film. I do kind of plan on getting into the story and the structure, that sort of thing, a little bit, but for the most part, I just plan on explaining to you guys things that I found I did well, and a couple of things that I actually learnt and I think would be of value to up-and-coming filmmakers. So, without further ado, I pass it on to you. Here's a couple of things I learnt making my first short film. Okay, so just for context, I did want to talk about the plot a little bit, just so you have an idea sort of what we're working with. Put very simply, a man receives a phone call telling him to receive a package. He gets the package. In the package, he's told to kill another man, otherwise this mysterious sender is going to murder his current partner. Now, for whatever reason, the protagonist believes this. We're not sure why, but he does, and it's just kind of something that we have to accept. I wasn't trying to nail the new Good Will Hunting when writing this. I just wanted to put something together that was easy to execute on so that I could just get a little bit of practice in, essentially. So don't expect any Oscar nominations when dissecting the plot of this one. First thing I really wanted to focus on was style or mood or tone of the film. Essentially just the artistic vision in general. Now, I did have a lot of artistic inspiration when making this short film. A couple of things I really wanted to incorporate in my short film were techniques used by both Wes Anderson and Edgar Wright. These techniques are very prominent throughout my short film, but I feel like one worked a little bit better than the other. When it comes to Edgar Wright, I wanted to use the way he does this sort of rapid editing style to show a passage of time and add a little bit more intensity to maybe a bit more of a duller, flatter scene, if you would. Now, in my project, I think this actually worked really well. It kept it engaging, and considering it was fairly short, it was used as a tool for us to progress from one point in the story to another without having to explain too much. The other sort of inspiration I had was, of course, Wes Anderson and how he specifically uses symmetrical shots and sort of creates a very pleasing image, something classic, timeless, that sort of goes against modern conventions of filmmaking. Using these conventions in my film, I don't think they worked out. Maybe in something like Wes Anderson films where everything is meticulously placed and a lot of detail goes into every single shot, this could work really, really well. But for my independent, short-ish film, I don't think it's going to work as well as it would for Wes Anderson. I think part of the reason this was the case is because I kind of didn't put enough care into those sorts of shots I wanted to incorporate. Either the lighting was off, or it just looked flat, or it wasn't pleasing to me, or the mise-en-scene I created just wasn't good enough to carry the shot to sort of allow me to put that style in my short film. So I mean, that's essentially just a very complex way of saying I fumbled the bag. And next time, when wanting to be so committed to a stylistic vision, I need to really work to make sure that it works within my world that I'm creating. So that would be my first tip. Be inspired when it comes to the mood and the style that you're trying to create in your short film. In doing this myself, I found tricks that I like to use with that sort of Edgar Wright quick transitioning that I can incorporate into my short film, and I definitely want to use that in the future. And I've also learned if I do want to approach something the way Wes Anderson does, I need to be as meticulous as he is, otherwise it's all just going to crumble in front of my eyes. So tip 1, be inspired creatively. Alrighty, next section, I wanted to talk a little bit about lighting. So lighting was definitely not something that I did amazingly in my short film. When lighting the film, I didn't really have sort of an idea of what I wanted to achieve with my lighting. I wanted to make sure the shots were lit and you could see exactly what was going on. I didn't really try to do anything cool or interesting with lighting, which I feel like is the bare minimum you can do beyond actually making sure that the actor or the subject is visible to the audience. So definitely going into my next short film, that's something I'm dead set on achieving. I want to light with intention. Just like sort of style that I was talking about earlier, I need to have a concept in my mind of what I want to achieve, and I really need to strive to make it happen and not settle for less at all. I also had another really big problem when making this, and it was shooting outside. So I'm going to be honest, I haven't shot outside before, especially not during like 12 p.m. light. I didn't realize the harshness that can bring. I was very much of the opinion of, oh yeah, you turn down your ISO, you turn down your aperture, and you're all good, you're all set. That's not what occurred at all. I was not prepared. I did not bring any ND filters. I didn't plan around it at all. I kind of just shot and tried to bring my light settings down as much as possible. But as we know, that's not really how it works. So therefore, when shooting a lot of my outdoor scenes, I ended up with shots that were extremely overexposed, and I had to try and bring them down as much as I could in post while retaining some sort of detail in the image, which was definitely a struggle. Moving forward, man, I just want to be a bit more prepared for the outside. I thought I had a good idea of what was going on, when in reality I had absolutely zero idea of what was going on. So definitely a lesson learned. Another box ticked. Oh. Okay, so really quick segment. We're going to be talking a little bit about sound today. Personally, I think I absolutely killed it. They say 2/3 of cinema is sound, and if that's the case, then, I wouldn't be surprised if I got some kind of nomination at the Academy for this one. No, but being serious, sound was one thing that I was really, really happy with. I chose to make this film with ADR in terms of the dialogue, and I used absolutely no live sound except for one take in the film, and I guarantee you would not be able to guess it. I wasn't planning to, but when I saw the footage, I thought, oh, that works perfect. That's absolutely great. So I just used that instead. Everything else, though, was either ADR'd in or put in post-production. I do have an Epidemic sound account, which is where I got all my sound effects, music, Foley, that kind of stuff. So, I just put that in post, sifted through bunches of different sound effects to try and find which one worked for me. Again, a lot of post-processing to try and determine which sound was correct, and then going on to change, okay, where is it in the room? What do I want to put the low pass at? Those sort of small tweaks that just make it feel a bit more natural. Sometimes I did make things a little bit louder than they might be in real life as an artistic choice if I thought it was cool or interesting or quirky. Some things I meticulously edited to try and make it as faithful to real life as possible. And I think I did a pretty good job, especially with my equipment. I'm absolutely thrilled, genuinely. Maybe it's my lack of experience, but if I had this quality of sound going into my next couple of pictures, then I'm going to be absolutely cruising. I've got no issue whatsoever. So there we go. First win of the video was sound. And hey, it may be one of the most important things to have gotten right. Maybe sound carried this. Food for thought. Alright, so in conclusion, do I think I did a good job? Yeah, I do. I think it was a simple idea, but I did what I wanted to do, and I was able to actually make a finished product. So at the end of the day, you can't be too upset. I think the one thing that sort of fueled the project was exactly what was holding it back. That being, I wanted to make something that I could execute on and finish and make a whole product. But in doing that, I didn't really put much merit into creative lighting choices, really implementing those stylistic and editing ideas that I wanted to, and making sure when I did that, it looked good. and it elevated the film. Also, moving forward, I think I really want to actually have some dialogue between characters, character development, that kind of thing, just basic writing, something that I decided to forego on when creating this, just so I had something that I could easily put out. I didn't have to get any other actors. But in my next short, this is something that I plan on doing. I've already written the script, and a lot of these ideas I've actually implemented into that. So I am feeling pretty confident and pretty excited going into the next project that I am making. Just trying to do something a bit bolder, something that engrosses the audience a bit more, as opposed to just making something start to end, knowing that I can do it. I think sometimes putting those, I don't want to say expectations, but putting those limits that you have to achieve on yourself when making something can force you to make a better product. It sounded very threatening, didn't it? It forces you to try harder, to do better. But I think that's definitely something that can help elevate the overall short film that you are making. If you're about to make your own short film, I hope these are some tips that have helped you, or maybe something that can encourage you to get out there and give it a shot. If you've recently made anything, I'd love to get your thoughts on what worked, what didn't, some things you've learned, and start a bit of a conversation. But yeah, I mean, that's about it. I will make sure to include the actual short film that we've been talking about this entire time in the description, as well as somewhere at the end. So make sure to go check that out. Tell me what you think. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.